Good afternoon, Tech 453. This is my video interview. I'm Mick Bell, and I'm here to tell you about my project choice. My first project choice is the Wyld Farm project management plan, because it lets me move from being adjacent to projects in procurement, where I've been for years, and into actually planning them and creating projects in the real world. The multi-stage, multi-year, and even the community-based aspect of this, each part of that adds to why I'm drawn to this. And that kind of leads directly into question one. So question one, we're looking at, why is this relevant to me? Well, most of my career has been spent adjacent to complex projects and procurement, meaning I kind of understand how projects succeed or fail long before or after, but I haven't yet been the one involved with the planning phase, with the actual management of that. And I'm eager to kind of put my skills to the test. I've gotten some through UAA and some just through adjacency with other professionals. So I have over 10 years of procurement experience, and that includes contracting, purchasing, all the administrative backgrounds behind that. So I've had exposures to scope, schedules, costs, compliance, all those things, all those elements I'm familiar with that build into project management. I've seen the consequences of unclear scope, poor sequencing, even unrealistic assumptions. However, this would take me from more of an administrative support role, and kind of the back end of projects, to actually taking responsibility for the planning and management of that. I would love to apply the skills of being able to take the goals of Wyld Farm into structured plans, start with early risk identification, and then working with the stakeholders there on the farm. And I think I would bring a very keen eye around cost and feasibility, just due to my background. Kind of moving into question two, I think the most important learning outcomes for me is what I included in the letter as a comment, and kind of clarified upon. And that's to take a major project, select and plan and apply the project management skills, and rather than just kind of be adjacent to them, I would get to actually implement things like time lanes, Gantt charts, scheduling, complex scheduling. We might do some cost estimation. We're going to have to look at environmental considerations. There's a lot of meat and technical data that I'll get to work with that I normally don't. And I think this is a huge learning outcome for me. I think that as a working professional, I think it's difficult to necessarily stretch myself in certain areas that I already have a lot of experience. I think this is one of the areas that I'm going to be able to accomplish a big learning outcome and something very personal for me. Now, as I read through the project, I have my own concerns or things that sparked in my mind, and challenges that I could already kind of see. And I'd like to talk about them. This will give you an idea where my headspace is at. I think for me, the biggest things are about resources, timing, or constraints. I'm going to look at those from a very critical perspective, in a positive way, of course, but in a critical way to kind of front load all the assessment. That would be looking at things like walking through with a stakeholder what the seasonal limitations are, what their labor capacities are, what's their environmental constraints. And then, like I said, because I want to front load most of the risk assessment, then I want to talk to them about the community needs and their available resources. So I'd love to see things about like, what are their priorities for land use? What's their labor? What's driving their market demands? Any of these factors that can help us create a better plan is going to be the best thing. We want to look for realism and kind of flexibility. So that would be looking at things like, I don't want to overscale. I don't want to build unrealistic timelines. I want to make a plan that is actionable. Those are, so to me, the PMP needs to be something that the stakeholders can get off the ground with without needing to modify or touch or spend a lot of time integrating into their like actual work. A lot of times these deliverables, because if they aren't fully assessed or if the needs aren't fully identified, a lot of times you can give a great product that's the wrong product for the stakeholder. And that's my biggest concern here, is just making sure that they get what they need. Now, for me personally, I also am super excited about this project. I think it will help me both professionally and personally. And I'll kind of touch on both. Professionally, I kind of mentioned it in the first question. This can directly help me, one, be better at procurement. It helps me anticipate the needs of the project managers around me. It helps me understand the kind of goals and the upstream pipeline, let's call it. And it also gives me a chance professionally to start looking, even within ADA, at project management roles and kind of getting to be able to participate in that, since I will have had some exercise in that skill set. Personally, I am also moving to Palmer. So there's a big draw to learning the Matsu Valley agriculture, to becoming more resource aware of what it takes to do that. Getting to do some of the research around the agriculture and the environmental constraints hugely impacts my personal ability to like build that at our personal home. And it's exciting. I think it's also exciting that I could get to partner with that stakeholder. I think ADA, as I'm representing today at the work place I'm at, is actually a development bank. So I think it would also benefit for me professionally to be in contact with them as they're looking at grants and loans. And then for questions as far as for what's right for the client, I would go back to making sure that they have what they need. So that's going to be asking, are they looking for detail heavy? Are they looking for highly usable? I would probably ask them about what's the greatest uncertainty or risk that they see in what they've provided us or what they're trying to accomplish. I'd ask them probably about how much flexibility we should plan. And like, especially as the constraints become a little bit clearer and we're diving into it, I think that would create a more actionable plan to understand what flexibility they need to make it happen. And then also how much input they want to have in the process. Should we be prepared for a lot of changes, or is this fairly static? I think those are some of the like high level concerns outside of the assessment I talked about earlier. And it's fairly exciting. To me, once again, though, this all wraps up into this project is one that will challenge me to move beyond just theory in a lot of ways and get to experience and have responsibility for stuff that actually has to work. And to me, that's exciting. And I hope to see everyone on the team.